Playing defensively sometimes gets a little bit of a bad rap, as does kiting, but it's a totally legitimate playstyle. I think, honestly, it's for a little bit of an opposite reason than kiting. Mainly that a lot of newer players tend to quote-unquote noob box, right? Hence the name noob box. And so the style does get a little bit of a bad rap. And I will say, whatever I say in this video is going to be immediately dismissed by some people, and they're going to run off down to the comments to immediately say, well, nah, yeah, and that's fine. For the rest of you with ears here to watch the video, let's take a look at this replay from Reiner of Rohan. He's playing Elves with Techless against Norsca. Norsca, very good rush-oriented faction. You don't see a ton of people playing these days because they are quite stale, as they are like a bag of chips that has been left open for 6 years. But nonetheless, they're still a good rush faction. Definitely need to know how to play against them. And for the High Elves, it's interesting to kind of see the approach that Ryder Rohan's playing here. Playing very defensively with these Silverin Guards up front. He's got Everqueen's Court Guards, more Sisters of Avalorn, the Talons of Torquelada, so quite some heavy firepower, quite literally. Of course, Techless is also going to be rocking Nets and Kindle Flame, which means he is going to additionally increase whatever damage gets netted here, hence why you don't really see any Mammoths. Mammoths are quite at risk against a build like this, although it's a little bit of build roulette, because they can be quite good against High Elves otherwise, and just generally pretty decent in this matchup. Couple of Spearmen to protect the backline, Reavers, Fireborn. For the Norskins here from AC Moore, we've got some Horse Masters in the backline. A very good choice here. Some Marauders and Champs in the main line. Fantastic choice as well. Skin Wolves pulled back out of the range to that fire damage. Wolfric the Wanderer as well. And then, yeah, is that basically it? Who's hiding back here? Some kind of caster. Lore of Metal. Shaman Sorcerer with Searing Doom and Plague of Rust. No Final Transmutation, which is interesting to see. But, so, one of the things I wanted to talk about in terms of this replay, and this is something I've talked about certainly in the past, more in relation to the Dwarfs, but certainly any faction we're going to be playing defensively. Oh man, look at Techless just getting absolutely hammered by Sword of Torgald, Fight or Die. A couple of synergistic moves from, yeah, Hunter of Champions on himself. Huge damage there from Wolfric. But anyway, target priority is the thing I wanted to talk about. The main thing here to watch for is where Ryder of Rohan's shooting. And thankfully, these Sisters of Avalorn have very flashy arrows. Nice frontline attack here as well from Techless. Does some AoE damage, but they're basically going to prioritize. There's a few different sort of schools of thought here, and the biggest thing is just shooting whatever you can within range. Obviously, if there's particularly high-value targets, you do need to try and save your ammunition as much as possible, but Ryder Rohan, even here, a little bit showing the risks of when your units, when you try and attack things that are too far forward, or just generally, given the course of the battle, mechanics of Warhammer 3, your archers, other skirmish units will often walk forward, kind of blunder into combat a little bit there, or like if you're attacking something, and issue an attack order, and then your opponent moves it back out of range, right? Your skirmishers will move into melee combat, which is absolutely not ideal, I don't have to tell you. So, active defense. You need to be constantly reprioritizing, reassessing where your missiles are shooting, and again, shooting things that are within range. So medium value targets, again, as long as there's not one big or a couple of big things you have to be prioritizing. Like these Horse Masters are great medium value targets. They'll take a lot of damage, so you can deal with them fairly quickly and cost effectively with just a few volleys and then move on to something else. And it will definitely free up a lot of your backline, help, you know, tactical situation-wise. Again, they're not the most high-value units, but, I mean, altogether, it's almost 3,000 points worth of Marauder Horsemen, so taken as a whole, they are quite a bit of value, and being able to just rip them apart like that with arrows very quickly, it's definitely fairly solid. The champs, though, are fighting like champs in the front line, and they will eventually grind through the Silverin Guard, despite the magic on both sides, to be honest. Yeah, Silverin Guard, Spearmen defending the back line there, doing a great job. The Fireborn also trying to do whatever they can. Plague of Rust will be great for the Skin Wolves and for the Marauder Horsemen there to get some nice damage as they debuff their armor. Yeah, that Plague of Rust in particular. Overcast will be even better, but even still, down to 80 armor. 80 armor is a good amount, but sort of the demi-AP in many ways, has another nice bound fiery convocation in the front line. Solid damage on those champs, helping equalize that frontline engagement fairly significantly. Teclis getting some good value here, but yeah, those champs, decent AP values, 8 AP per javelin, and same thing, like the Skin Wolves, decent AP values, right? But the Plague of Rust definitely helps. They are still primary non-AP, despite their overall decency in AP. I have to say, I love Ryder Rohan's choice of color schemes. He's always got the best high elf color schemes on point. But staunch line of spearmen helping to defend here. And Marauder Champion's getting a nice fight or die from Wulfric, who himself is still quite dangerous. And champs in this late game kind of a grind fight will also be quite dangerous. But let's see, Sisters of Avalorn, the Talons of Torquelada are destroyed. But the Sisters of Avalorn still fighting. They've got solid enough melee defense that even as they get kind of tangled in melee a little bit here. Ooh, nice Flock of Doom, too, from Teclis. Beautiful. Just hits all of these remaining champs here. So, Heil is definitely in the driver's seat, though. Still got to respect Norsca. Wulfric might try and get out here and snipe Teclis. Currently Potion of Choroing himself to heal a little bit, as his abilities are on cooldown. Doesn't have a lot of magic left. Probably waiting on that to regenerate a little bit. Martyr Horseman trying to make an attack run here to interrupt those Sisters of Avalorn, but just such a potent unit when used correctly. You don't see them, again, a ton. But certainly, your high elf main like Ryder Rohan, they're a unit that you're well acquainted with, and it's always one you have to respect, right? Not one you see a lot, but it is one you have to factor in. And when you, especially when you think about, you know, big monsters or monsters which are weak to fire damage, units which are generally weak to fire damage, or just AP missiles, a lot of people still might associate high elves with not having very good AP missiles, and that's just absolutely not the case. So Avalorn definitely very solid, as evidenced here. Wulfric taking a few more hits there. Fast forward through this late game cleanup as he throws another Lure of Boats there. He's gonna try and hunt our champions. Teclis one more time. Does get a hilarious amount of damage on him. I say hilarious amount of damage. Pretty good amount of damage. Ooh, is he gonna break through those Fireborn? Does manage to break through the Fireborn. It's getting close. I haven't got too many cinematics, to be honest, this battle, but been more of a tactical overview kind of game this time around, but we're getting close as Teclis is screened by the few remaining Fireborn decently enough. Wulfric's still able to get through, but he's going to be quickly approaching army losses. And even if he fells Teclis here, I mean, it's not going to end up mattering that much. Teclis, though, regrowthing. Just, you know, staying safe. Don't want to get too crazy here, just in case something weird happens. And now with Wulfric being truly surrounded, that'll be it for him. And that'll be it for more. But a really nice game. Very well played on both sides. It's an interesting matchup. I know Ryder Rohan sent us a bunch of this matchup over the years. And it's definitely one that has evolved somewhat over time. But this is always a build that has warranted respect, kind of regardless of the situations. Hasn't always been necessarily the best, but man, both those Sisters of Avalorn over 2,000 damage value. Just absolutely spectacular. Talons of Torquelada are a little bit more of like a support archer here, kind of. They do okay, not as well on raw damage, but then also the Fireborn as well. Massive value on them. All of them synergize quite well with Teclis, who himself gets a respectable amount of value on some Flocks of Doom. The rest here, yeah, 1 Silver and Guard, 115 kills. Great job there. I think that was the one on the flank fighting some basic Marauders, then came in for the late game cleanup. Champs definitely are to be respected. Some of them getting some really nice value here. Wulfric also 3,000 damage value just on horseback. It's extremely cost effective. I will say having Final Transmutation would have been nice, especially, I mean, this is a little bit of sort of player knowledge, right? But if I was going against Ryder Rohan, I would definitely have Final Transmutation to try and nuke some cavalry units. But yeah, overall pretty solid. Can't really criticize too hard, but let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Hopefully you enjoyed that. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.